Okay, so backing up to this past weekend, obviously a great way to start for us. A lot of good things from our young guys, a lot of good things from our old guys. It gives us a starting point and a pretty good starting point. And now I think, we just have to build. We talk to our guys all the time about, making adjustments. We're going to look at a lot of video. We got a chance to wrestle. Some guys got 3 matches, some guys got 2. A few guys got 1, but it gives us a chance to see ourselves and see what we need to work on and what we need to fix. I thought our effort and how hard we wrestled was, A on a scale of A to F, I guess. And, technically, I think we were, average to maybe even below average. I think there's a lot of things technically we could fix, but I think that shows you in the sport of wrestling that when you go out and wrestle really, really hard, good things can happen, and that's what we preach most of the time. So our effort and our hustle and our fight and everything was really good for especially week 1.
I was going to say, what did you learn about your young guys, particularly in the Wisconsin match? But I guess I would rephrase that to say, what did they confirm to you?
Yes, they did confirm, and I think if you were to come watch practice the last 3 months, you saw Saturday night what our practice room looks like, and that's pretty exciting. I don't think, I'm a big practice guy. I'm an old school coach, and I'm a big practice guy. And if you can't scrap hard, if we don't have that kind of scrap in the room, it's hard to bring it to Hilton. It's hard to bring it to Jacksonville, Florida. It's hard to bring it to Stillwater. It's hard to bring it to Iowa City. It's got to happen right here in Ames, Iowa. And so that's what we've been seeing with this team, since day one.
Kevin, regarding Johnson and Swiderski, would you have wrestled them this early had the NCAA not changed their rules on freshman eligibility?
Considering what we have on our team and our lineup, I probably would have. Wrestled them. I just could tell they were special. Panero came last year as a gray shirt and moved here like in, September or whatever. Paid his own way. I think he took 1 class online at a junior college or something and just hung around and trained and made that sacrifice. So we knew after seeing him a little bit, we knew there was some high ceilings, and we saw one. Swiderski, he came and trained with us. He started training right away in June, and so we knew pretty fast that he was pretty good.
But with the new rules, does it require the 2 freshmen to be even more ready than was before when you guys wrestled maybe unattached, at least the first semester?
Well, I like the new rule, and I think the new rule gives you flexibility, but technically those guys aren't even our guy yet because we got 4 more bullets. We wasted 1 bullet this weekend. We get 5 bullets, and so they each burn 1 bullet. So technically we could still redshirt them all, but right now the plan is to go.
The 2 of them both know that.
Yes.
They may not finish the year with you.
Both those guys know that they're the guy right now, and they're fine with it, and those are conversations we've had. I'm not one of those. There's a lot of coaches that are smoke and mirrors and everything's a secret. I don't roll that way. We're gonna put the cards up, and the cards were up. We said from day one those guys were going.
Why was Panero Johnson so comfortable in that match against Austin Gomez, and this may be your practice answer, but why did he look so prepared to wrestle Austin Gomez? He didn't look afraid, and he really wrestled him as well as you can wrestle Austin Gomez.
Well, the one thing that Panero's got that I think in order to be great you have to have is everybody that I've ever been around that's great in the sport of wrestling has a very high opinion of themselves. And Panero's got a triple high opinion of himself. I mean, you're going to get to meet him, and Panero is in love with Panero, all right, in a good way, and he's probably one of the most popular kids on our team. But Panero thinks he can beat anybody at any time at any day. Now, the thing that Panero's gotten so much better at is he hasn't been a good practice guy until just recently. We figured out a lot of things about him this summer. He did a really good job and almost made a world team this summer, but we found out, we couldn't figure out why the dude was getting so tired because he was working hard in the room. He just couldn't hold up. We found out, we did some tests. We found out he has sickle cell anemia. We changed his diet. We got him on some supplements. And so he's been really conscious about the way he eats and the way he trains. And he's a different guy than he was this summer. And we couldn't figure out, why does this guy literally tip over? And he was tipping over this summer and this spring.
When did you first see him, and what did you like about him that you would have taken this gamble on him?
Well, Panero, I got a little inside information. Panero's high school coach was my roommate in college at Iowa, Mike Hassey, and Mike grew up at Cedar Rapids Prairie. He came to Iowa for a while, transferred to Edinboro, was an All-American, a couple-time All-American at Edinboro. And so he's been coaching at Erie Cathedral Prep for years. Carter Strachey, same high school. So there's been some good guys that are at that high school. So I knew about Panero. I started watching him. Coach told me, and he plays 4 times in Pennsylvania, in big school Pennsylvania. So he wasn't like he was a secret. He plays 4 times in big school Pennsylvania. You're a dude. And, we knew coming out. So we had to recruit. I probably just got there the very first day when he was definitely on the radar, but I made a full court press early on, in the recruiting process to get him.
You mentioned that he and Swiderski still have 4 bullets, so to speak, with the
Yeah.
NCAA rules. So how do you handle that the rest of the year? I mean, would you know by January 1st?
Yeah, we got this weekend's a date, and then we got a date the next weekend. I think Iowa's the 4th date, and then I think we go out to wrestle in New Orleans at that collegiate thing, and that'll be the 5th date. But right now, our plan is to wrestle those guys, regardless of the rule. We like the rule because it lets us play with a guy like Gaitan, Rojas. We wrestled one of the Frosts this weekend. We're still going to plan on redshirting all those guys.
Why do you think the NCAA changed that rule, or it made it so they had to decide right away?
If you can figure out the NCAA, you call me, okay? You call me and tell me, because I have no clue what they think.
Does it also give you that flexibility, because injuries are going to pop up? If one of those guys gets hurt, even though they're the guy at this moment, it can be like, okay, it's probably wise to shut it down at this point and take the red shirt. Because
I like it because it does give you flexibility in injury situations. And, sometimes you just have that, like David Carr would have been a perfect example. I mean, MJ Gaitan is pretty darn good, all right? He's pretty darn good. He's really kind of small for a 174. So if he was a big 174, we'd probably wrestle him, and he'd probably be our best guy. But right now, he just needs, just like David needed a year to grow up, I think MJ needs a year to grow up. Where I felt like Casey and Panero, I think those guys are men right now, and they can wrestle at a Division I level already, as you can obviously see. Look what they did in weekend 1.
Speaking of David Carr, what did you see from him at 165 at his new weight?
I think there was a lot of people out there scratching their head wondering if he was big enough, and he wrestled a really big 165-pounder in Hamidi. Hamidi's a big dude, and I think that guy's good enough to be in the finals. I'm a big fan of how tough and how hard DJ Hamidi wrestles, and so I knew we were going to have our hands full there. I think David did a good job. I think there's even a little bit more. I think David even came off the mat going, there's probably a little bit more I could have done there. But to go beat the 4th or 5th ranked wrestler the first weekend of the year, especially after you've been spending so much time on freestyle, that just kind of tells you the versatility of David Carr as well.
You said that there was concern whether he was big enough. Did you have to instill something in his mind to make him think he's bigger?
Well, we always have to instill something in David's mind, and then when you get David's mind working the right way, he's unstoppable. I think probably just making the shift from, he got his heart broke a little bit in the World Championships. He lost a really close, controversial match to the very best guy, and then the guy gets hurt and he doesn't get to wrestle back. And so when you're used to going to the Worlds and getting a medal all the time, and then all of a sudden you don't even get a medal and you don't even get a chance to wrestle back, I think it affected his mojo. But I think we did a good job, and I think he did a good job at turning himself around. Even especially that particular day, I kind of sensed him a little bit the day before and in the morning that he just kind of wasn't all there mentally. And then I saw him flip the switch on Saturday night like he was ready to go. He wanted to, protect his turf, and I think he wanted to show everybody that he can handle that weight. There were some big guys out there. We weighed in at 8 o'clock that morning. We didn't wrestle till 6:30. It was the first weigh-in, so it's a good thing they didn't weigh guys in before that match, because there would have been some record gains. Unlike the stock market, record gains, I'm telling you. So.
What do you want to see from your team as they prepare for Cal Baptist?
Yeah, we're excited to wrestle California Baptist. I think that they bring hope right now. They got a new coach. They've got some, they signed some good guys. They've got momentum. Now they're officially in the Big 12. So I'm sure they're excited to make their statement. This will be their first official Big 12 dual meet when they're eligible for postseason. So I'm sure they're going to be ready to go. I just think that, we have to show consistency all year long. I'm sure right now a lot of people out there are going, man, Iowa State really looked good Saturday. Are they really that good? So I think we have to continue to make strides, and I think this team's got a really high ceiling.
One last question on Swiderski. He's a Michigan guy like Metcalf.
Yep.
How close is their relationship? What's the connection there?
Well, Brent Metcalf, everybody knows Brent Metcalf in the whole United States, and everybody in Michigan really knows Brent Metcalf. So when the recruiting process started again, we got on Casey early, like day one, just because Metcalf had an inside track. He knew the club coaches. So he came to me right away and said, hey, this guy's, and we saw him actually wrestling an event over COVID. I think there was an event in North Dakota, and he kind of got in our radar, like right when we were able to start contacting kids, at the beginning of their junior year. So, we got on him and Panero Johnson. We had those guys locked and loaded really early.
Panero has a 3 times supercharged opinion of himself, whereas Casey.
Probably 3 or 3.5. Yeah, there's 2 guys that have a lot of swagger, and I mean good swagger. Like, Casey's personality is different. Casey's going to throw you down, and he's going to beat you anyway. He can beat you, and it's probably going to hurt. Panero's a little slicker and smoother, but they both have a lot of they're freshmen. They're going to have ups and downs this year. I can tell you that right now. They had a great up, but there's going to be times when they're going to have to make adjustments. But I know this: at the end of the day, those guys are going to be, before they leave Iowa State, they're going to light this place up, and I think they already showed everybody this first weekend that they will. They did that.
How do you manage freshman highs and potentially lows?
Well, I told them Saturday night afterwards that, guys, we need to enjoy this one tonight, but tomorrow morning we have to go back to work, and this isn't, quit reading Twitter and quit reading social media, and just put your head down and go to work and do what you do. Success is kind of mundane and boring week in, week out, and then you get to celebrate a little bit in the weekend. So I think those guys will understand that. But again, I tell everybody those guys are freshmen, so we're going to have some ups and downs, but we're going to have a lot more ups. All right, enjoy.